Hey mom, so thanks for watching my channel and anyone else who's watching this video currently. My gratitude goes to you. Be sure to check the description for a bit of an intro about what I'm about, and I think it's especially if you haven't already watched my channel, I think it's a good thing to read. And the purpose of this video is to begin to answer some of the questions that were posed to my Facebook group about cryptic pregnancy and my experience with cryptic pregnancy. Okay, so the first question, I'm gonna do two questions for this video, and I'll keep adding videos. That's kind of just what I can handle at the moment. So, thanks for your patience. Okay, so the first question was, did I get a clear heartbeat on a fetal Doppler? She said that she can't seem to get like a consistent one. It's more like in and out. Okay, so I had two cryptic pregnancies. They're very different from each other. Very different from each other. Of course, there were some similarities. The first one. Well, for neither one, actually, I didn't even have a Doppler. I didn't personally have a Doppler for either one. For the first one, she stayed hidden from the medical field and tests and stuff for about 3 months. When she finally showed up in a blood test, and then I went to my first appointment, probably a week later, maybe more, for the midwife. Then she used a Doppler, and I was able to get they were able to get a consistent heartbeat. One moment, please. Before that, when she was hidden, I didn't even have a stethoscope or anything. I just was, and I didn't even know it was like considered a cryptic pregnancy or anything. I didn't know anything about these groups or this, this following or anything. Okay, so I have a baby right here, my youngest here. I'm gonna do my best. Okay, they were able to get a consistent heartbeat. I will say that in my experience, even with my non-cryptic pregnancies or pregnancy, my current pregnancy, I don't even know if it's cryptic or not. I didn't go and get tests. So, usually cryptic pregnancy is classified by the fact that they don't show up in tests. But I didn't even get a test. I had like a couple home tests that came out lightly positive, and I used a Doppler at home later. So I'm not making commentary on this pregnancy because I don't even know if it is cryptic pregnancy. Sorry, 1 second. Oh, okay, Quinny. Alright, so, but I do want to say that for my non-cryptic pregnancy, which was my first baby, and then all the, like, by now dozens and dozens, if not a couple hundred women that I have spoken to, worked with, shared with, etc. Sometimes the heartbeat of any pregnancy can be difficult to pick up. And even in ultrasound, like I've heard of babies going in and out of ultrasound. They're not considered cryptic pregnancies by the medical field, but they're hard to pick up in Doppler and they're hard to pick up on ultrasound. that is more common, I will say, in my experience than you might think. Um, with my second cryptic pregnancy, I didn't get a Doppler. I had a stethoscope for a while, and then I got a fetoscope later. The only time that I was able to see a heartbeat or pick up on a heartbeat was when she actually, the one that's here on my lap right now in the video, this is this one I'm talking about, this child here. The only time that during that pregnancy, especially in the earlier stages, that I even saw a heartbeat or picked up on a heartbeat was when they did an ultrasound at 5 months pregnancy, and they did see a heartbeat. The gestation was completely off. It was impossible. She is my third child. You know, I give myself a lot more credit and trust for my instinct than that. You know, I knew it was longer, and but anyway, I didn't even use one until later, until like much later. Probably she was born at around a year, and actually in that time I met another I knew another met and befriended another woman whose mother carried her for a year. And it wasn't considered a cryptic pregnancy or anything like that, probably because she didn't really have access to tests and stuff, but she was like, yeah, she shared that with me, and it was really amazing, because at that point I was a bit like confused as to why this child was taking so long in the womb. But later on, so like 3 months before my second cryptic pregnancy baby was born, I got a fetoscope from the midwife, one of the midwives I worked with during that time, who listened to me and trusted my process and stuff and supported me emotionally and spiritually. And I was able to get a consistent heartbeat with a fetoscope. I do remember with this baby, I do remember with the second cryptic pregnancy, my third baby, I remember another midwife. So I had 2 midwives that were willing to work with me during that time spiritually. They and trusted my story, and I don't know what they thought in detail in their mind, but they were trusting my process and spiritually, and that was so, the spiritual food from that is incredible. Let me tell you. But I remember her saying, when I went to go see her, probably a couple months before my second cryptic pregnancy baby was born, she said that, yeah, this baby is like not very forward. This baby likes to stay behind everything, and she really had to kind of go in and pick up on the baby, and really listen with her trained ear and stuff. So she did remark that the baby was not like forthright, you know, right at the front of everything. So my general, I guess, experience / advice, etc., with Dopplers, and I guess picking up on the heartbeat in general with fetoscopes and stuff. It does help to have some experience with them, to build on experience with them. Some of the best midwives, which are very few that I have met, you know, they combine their intuition with the tools that they're using. They don't just use the tools and depend on the tools. They combine their intuition with it, and they really infuse their intuition with it, and are able to get more accurate results that way. And me, as a doula, and then training step by step myself as a midwife and stuff, it does experience in training your intuitive and physical ear towards, and eyes and ear and touch towards things, but especially having to do with cryptic pregnancy, and pregnancy in general. It helps, it takes time, using things like Dopplers and fetoscopes and using your tools, and it's your intuitive sense too. It takes time. It takes cultivation. It takes an ear. Like with this baby I'm carrying now, it seems to have, I'm like, I could give birth any day now. I know it, I feel it. But this baby has developed, at seeming the same, like the rate of most babies, which is around 80% of babies, which takes about 9 to 10 months, 40 to 42 weeks. This baby was, was difficult to pick up in the Doppler. It was, but it was because of my intuitive ear, and I've been working with my own pregnancies for so many years, and then with other women's too, and like I started to become trained in how to pick up on a baby in the womb, pick up on a pregnancy in the womb through using my tools of touch, like fetoscopes, Dopplers. It's a process. It's a process in learning and in teaching yourself. I think a lot of confusion is a result of women, including myself, going the learning curve, not remembering that there is a learning curve, with your body, with everything in Western society is like slapdash, learn it now. If you pay a certain amount of money, you can get a degree and you can be an expert at something. That's not really true, at all. That's not how things work. Things work through a step-by-step process. No amount of money can gain you the kind of experience that you need for each individual task in your life and skill in your life. It's okay to use education, other people's materials, reading materials, etc., as like a training ground. It's necessary, but ultimately you are cultivating a self-mastery, okay? And your intuition, and you're cultivating an ability to learn, constantly learn and progress and process. So, finding pregnancy, confirming pregnancy, listening to pregnancy, it's a process of learning how to listen, not just here, but listen here. Like, you gotta combine the two. And, midwives used to be like that. Midwives used to know women. Okay, honey. Sorry about that. Okay, midwives used to be in tune with women. Be in tune with each individual woman, be in tune with women and as a whole, be in tune with themselves. It has to really be about tuning in, it takes time. It takes time. It's a process of practice. Practice, practice, practice with yourself, with others. Listen carefully. Listen, take these in, process them. And then, okay. So, and the second question, okay, are cryptic babies, cryptic pregnancy babies, generally less active than a non-cryptic pregnancy? I'm gonna say, in my experience, not necessarily at all. Again, now having worked with dozens and dozens of women, including myself, and then probably a couple hundred by now, with their pregnancies, their bodies, their journeys. The activity of a baby is hard to measure, like, physically, like, feeling wise, like, just physically feeling wise. Again, a child can be extremely active in the womb, but the mom doesn't comprehend it because of, well, for many reasons. It can be, usually has to do with a sort of a need to cultivate excuse me, a need to cultivate that intuitive sense, that intuitive combined with the physical sense I'm talking about. In my experience, my cryptic pregnancy, the second one, which was more hidden than the other one, she was so active. She was like a little storm in there, like, from the beginning, and she never quit. She was always, like, just moving everywhere. And my first cryptic pregnancy, my second baby, she was so chill, like, just how I felt physically and how I sensed intuitively. Like, she was just so chill, like, she barely moved ever. And sometimes I would worry, but no, again, through experience, through gaining experience, through tapping into my intuition, through trusting my intuition, I learned so much about these little beings and how important it is to be in touch with them, and how important, as the mother, that needs to be number one, that you're in touch with your body and with the baby. That's number one, not medical care or any kind of other care is not number one. What number one is, you're in touchness with yourself and with your baby. And then from there, if you feel it's necessary, act on other types of care. And, it's very, these kinds of midwives are very rare. But the best kind of midwife is a midwife who listens with her intuition and with her physical ears. With those two things severed, the severance of those two things creates confusion and disunity. A lot of this process with women is to reunite that again, like fuse those again together in this process with themselves. And there is a theory out there that cryptic pregnancy babies are less active than non-cryptic pregnancy babies, but I don't know. Having just worked with so many now, and the experiences I've had with myself, that's not necessarily true at all. A lot of it really has to do with being in touch with your sense and in touch with your body so you can figure out for yourself what's going on in there. And it's going to take much more than just your physical nerve endings. You know, your nerve endings, are there to help conduct, the deeper sense. Help ground the deeper sense. The body has so many layers. Okay, the body is so spiritual, and the physical layers in the body are deeply spiritual in and of themselves. And the body, just what you see with your physical eyes, or the organ that you see with your physical eyes, that you feel with your physical nerves, like the energetic capacity of the body, of the organs, is infinite. It's so much deeper than the physical sense. And that's why it's so vital to tap into the intuition, because otherwise we run into issues where, you see it all over the place, everywhere, it's just rampant. This issue of not being able to go one's path and go one's journey without handing your life over to the experts. I always say that it's so important to be able to learn from others without handing your life over to them. This is your life. You came here to master your life, to master this life, yourself. Mama. Through, sorry about that interruption. So where was I? Oh yeah, so being able to learn from others, without losing yourself, that's this process.